There's a new feature in the After Effects beta called proportional scrubbing, and it's surprisingly powerful. It lets you adjust multiple properties across multiple layers at once, but instead of applying the same value everywhere, it distributes the change proportionally based on the order you selected them. In other words, think quick offset on steroids. With a simple drag, you can create cascades, spreads, and gradient style animation across multiple layers. It's fast, playful, and honestly brings a bit of fun back to animating. Okay, enough theory, let's see what it can actually do. Now we're going to start with this composition, which is based on a design by the designer Steve Downsey, and this is just to show you how quick offset works. So we already have it in the current version of After Effects, but we only have it for layers and keyframes. And in order to demonstrate it, I think I'm first going to switch to the minimal workspace, which will allow me to take the composition panel and just drag it all the way to the right side, because this is a vertical design. This way I can show you all the layers that I have here. And as you can see, I already separated two groups, meaning that I can select all the blue layers. I'll start with the first one and then shift click on this one. And then I'll hold down Command and Option. This will be, of course, Control and Alt on the Windows side. And I'll start to drag it. And as you can see in the heads-up display, I'll get this total offset. And this is going to show me that it's going to offset each layer with the amount of frames or seconds that you're seeing here. And it's going to result like this. Now we can do the same thing for keyframes. So I'll select all the yellow layers and then press U to show the keyframes. In this case, let me just select the first one and then drag all the way down. And by the way, After Effects is sensitive to the order of selection. I just want to make sure that I'm placing my current time indicator over here before the last blah word is appearing. And same keyboard shortcut, Command Option, and I'll start to drag. And as you can see, all the keyframes are going to stagger. So the first set of keyframes are not going to move, and then all the other ones, depending on how far I drag them, are going to move one after the other, which is going to give us this thing. Now, as I told you, it is sensitive to the selection order. So if you want to do it randomly, then you just click, I'll hold down Command. So I'm arbitrarily selecting layers. And once everything's selected, I'll press and hold Command and Option, wait for the special icon, and start to drag to get this random stagger offset. So if we're going to preview everything from the beginning, this is how it's going to look, which is obviously going to take you much longer if you'll create it manually. So again, this is what we currently have with the shipping release, but we are working with the beta version. So let's switch back to the default workspace. I'll close this composition and I'll take this megaphone model and drag and drop it to create a new comp out of it. I'll quickly modify the comp settings. Let's settle with 5 seconds and everything else looks correct. I'm also going to press R and let's change the orientation of it to 90 degrees for the Y-axis, as well as maybe push it over here. And then I'll press Y to get to the pan behind tool, which will allow me to change the axis. So I'm bringing the axis over here, maybe even more. Now, I'm going to hold down the Command key and just hold the D key, which is just going to duplicate a lot of copies. I'll stop here. We have 34 copies. Looks fine to me. You can duplicate as many as you want. And then I'll select everyone here and make sure that I'm at the beginning of the timeline, because I also want not just to show you the offset properties, but create an animation with it. So let's animate the anchor point, the position, the scale, maybe orientation. You know what? Everything except of opacity. Okay, I'll move to the end and I'll scroll all the way up and hold down Command and Option. So the same modifiers. This time, I'm going to start by changing, let's say, the Y rotation. And look at that. In order to get a better view of what we are doing here, I'll switch to the orbit tool and let's just do something like this so we can see how this is going on. And then I'll return to those modifiers. So Command and Options are still pressed. and continue until I have a full circle. And because I had the keyframe at the beginning, I'll switch to draft 3D. So everything is going to work in real time. Let's switch off all the other things and just preview it so you can see the potential here. But again, we have keyframes for everything. So let's continue this madness by pressing Command and Option. This time I'll change the anchor point only on the y-axis, something like this. I can also change the scale to make them bigger, as well as maybe the Z rotation and the R rotation and the orientation itself. So we can create something crazy like this. And let's just go back and preview what we've managed to create, which is just crazy. So it's fun to work with 3D models and it's great for motion graphics. But let me show you another example, which I'm actually using almost every day. I'll close this composition and I'll double click to invoke the import dialog and I'll import this Photoshop file. Now, if you want to create a parallax, which is what I'm going to do now, you'll actually need to import this as a composition, not composition retain layer sizes. For this, I have another solution which I'll show you towards the end of this tutorial. So make sure to stick until the end. But for now, I'm going to switch it to composition, click OK, and then double click in order to show you all my 2D layers. Now, I'll convert everything here to 3D, and then I'm going to select everything. And by the way, in this case, we don't need to use the advanced 3D renderer. I'll switch back to classic 3D. I'll make sure nothing is selected, then select the first layer and the last layer by shift clicking on it, then press P to show the position, hold down Command and Option, Control and Alt on Windows, and start to drag. You can also add Shift to the mix to drag it even faster. And notice what we are doing here. We're actually separating the layers, but we are also changing the position. I want to bring everything back to the original state, so I'll press S to isolate the scale. Again, press and hold the Command and Option, and this time I'm going to scale everything back to what it was before. So I'm eyeballing it to return to the original design. But now, if I'll switch from active camera to one of the custom views, you can see that everything is being separated. So just to check how things are looking, I'm going to switch to the dolly tool and I'll zoom out. And you can see that there is somewhat of a problem. I'll press the C key to get to the orbit tool and I'll orbit so we can see that some of the layers are being clipped because we are using the composition size. And this can be a deal breaker. However, I have a fix for you. So I'll return back to the project panel, open up the folder that has all the Photoshop layers, select one of them, and then press Command E. It's going to open it in Photoshop. Now, in this case, and this is depending on the document that you created, if I'll select the air balloon blue and switch to the move tool, I can see that I actually have access to all the pixels. So all the other layers here are bigger than the canvas size. What we need to do is fool After Effects to think that the canvas size has magically grown up. And to do it, I'll make sure nothing is selected, and inside Photoshop in the Layers panel, I'll create a new artboard. For this artboard, I'll change the dimensions, so I happen to know that in this document, a 4K size is going to work. And now I can see all of the layers in all of their glory. I'll update the document by pressing Command S, which is going to save it. And then I'll return back to After Effects. And as you can see, now we have access to everything. So I'm going to return back to the active camera menu and reset the default camera. And then I'll close all the layers here. We can also close the layers from here. And instead of animating the camera manually, I'll use a free script that you can get by visiting the link down below. It's from Motion Ape and it's called Camera Crew. I'll go to File. I already installed it on my machine and it's over here. This is going to create a camera for us, and there are a few null objects with some fancy expressions that will help us control everything from this menu. So I'll start by changing the position of the camera. Let's just push it to start over here. And if you want, you can keyframe it. But you know what? I'm just going to stick it over here because I want to show you that we don't even need to keyframe it. I'll go to the end and then I'll open up auto movement. And over here, I'll set the auto position movement. I'm just going to start and scrub this value until I see all of the layers are visible on screen. And of course, you have other controls here. For example, you can apply a camera shake automatically. Let's go with breathe light and perhaps maybe some focus control. We can enable depth of field. We can change the blur to something bigger, and then we can go to the beginning. Perhaps this is too big, so I'm just going to revert it. Remember, there are no keyframes here. I'm just going to preview it. So all the animation, the movement, the shake, everything is automatic. Now, just in case you want to do it with the regular version and you don't have enough real estate in order to do this artboard trick in Photoshop, I want to offer you another free solution. For that, I'm just going to import another copy of the same document. This time, we're going to use this method, composition return layer sizes. So we're actually cropping each layer to its minimal dimensions. Let's go inside of this artboard and then press Command K to get to the composition settings, change the size to regular HD. And instead of using this script, you can use my free script. Link is down below. It's called One Click Parallax. There is a link to the full tutorial underneath, but it's really simple. Just click on this button. It's going to create a parallax for you. It's also going to convert all the layers to 3D. Here is your camera. If you press C, you can see that it is working. And the good news is nothing in terms of the design has changed. You are free to animate. So this is it. I'm a really big fan of this new offset properties in After Effects. I'm actually using it almost every day now, and I think you should give it a try. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this is going to help you with your own work, and I will see you again in the next one.